Are in a new chapter. I want us to make sure that we are keeping up with the reading. Please remember that each week you can always go to the modules or even in my shortcut links. It always identifies which chapters that we're in for the week. And so we are in chapter 4 today, and we don't necessarily go in order, as you've noticed. So some chapters are skipped and some chapters we go back and forth on. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. All right. So does anybody have any questions? I feel like now that we're kind of in the throes of everything, I know the class is kind of moving a little fast. I want to make sure everyone is okay with where we are. Does anybody have any questions about career plan part 2 and what you're supposed to do? Is everyone okay? Yeah. Okay. Fine. You don't need me. We'll keep going. All right, then. So I want us to think of it this way. So let's say that we're traveling, right? We're traveling down the road to our career and we have our career plan, right? So we have we actually don't have our career plan. We have our long-term goal in mind. So we know what our destination is, right? Yesterday, we started to think about the different steps that we're going to take to get to that goal, right? So what route we're going to take to get to that goal. We know that even though we know what destination we're trying to get to and we're trying to build the different roadmap to get there, that we also need different skills that are going to make us successful. We've talked about knowing how to do our resume properly. We talked about how to do an interview properly. Now I want to talk about how to promote yourself. We're going to be talking about networking, but I want to talk about a networking tool because when you when you present yourself, you know how we talked about your own, having this personal pitch, right? And we talked about where you would put that personal pitch, with that personal statement and how you would use your personal elevator pitch. Being online in some format, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, it is a tool you can use. I would say it's an important tool. It can be a strategic tool that you can use, especially for those of us that, maybe want to get into, a very, let's say, high functioning position. Let's say you want to get into veterinary medicine and you want to work at one of these top hospitals, or maybe you want to, get into HVAC, but you want like commercial refrigeration and you want to work for a major institution. Having some type of online presence will help you because nowadays people look people up. If you're going to start your own business, that goes without saying, you're going to have some type of online presence. So I want to talk about online presence in a way of how it can help you, but we also want to talk about some obvious things, about things you want to just be mindful of as you are online, because we would be remiss if we talked about, oh, be online, and then we don't talk about some of the obvious concerns that you're going to have. But for today, we're just going to just go over all the different platforms. Some of these platforms you guys are already on. I'm going to talk about how to use these different platforms for your career and the things that you just want to look out for. So as a job seeker, you should be considering what your online presence is. Give me a thumbs up if you have some type of online presence. That means you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You have some type of online presence. And I would assume that most of you have personal platforms. Does anybody have any business platforms online? Some of you may be coming from different backgrounds. Okay. So right now, most of us have this online presence. When you are online, even if you have what we call personal accounts, those personal accounts are being serviced by a company, i.e. Meta, Google, LinkedIn, obviously X. They're being serviced. What does that mean? That means that your account is housed in their server. You and the person, the entity that's allowing you to be on that has access to your account. What does that mean? Does Facebook, does Meta have access to what I post? Yep. And on Instagram? Yep. Everything that you put online, it's going into a public space. Whether you posted something online a week ago or 2 years ago, it's still in that public space. Even if you delete it, so to speak, right? The person that services that account still has access to it. You're aware of that, right? When you post something online, we call that your digital footprint. It's almost like little footsteps in the, sand on where you go online. Does that mean that they're tracking us online? Well, I wouldn't say tracking, but I would say they're storing your footprints. Why is that important to you? It is going to be so important that you consider how you are using online platforms. Number one, you're going into a profession, right? So when you go into a profession, people expect you to be a professional. And in week 4, we'll talk about professionalism. And as such, everything you post, I'm going to hate to say it this way, but can be and will be used against you and for you. Hmm? You understand that? How many of us have seen or heard something negative about a person that lost their job because of something they said online? And you may say, well, oh my gosh, that's not fair. But the problem is, when you sign a contract with a company, you got to read the fine print. The fine print of that contract says that you are an agent. I know that sounds crazy, like some type of CIA agent, but you are an agent of the institution. That means that you are an extension of that company. That means that once you clock in, you're on their time. And even when you clock out, you are still connected to that institution. When you put on their uniform, when you walk around with their business card. There was a guy that, for some reason, he was at a conference and he got into a altercation on the street with someone, and he decided to use some, derogatory language. And of course, he was being recorded. And would you believe that this person was genius enough to have his company shirt on? You already know what happened, right? How many people feel like that's right? Or who feels like that's wrong, that you shouldn't lose your job just because you do something personal, even though you work for a company that your personal time is your own? Or if you do it, you need to not be in uniform, right? Some people feel like, okay, you feel like Don't be in uniform, right? I just think that's fair. Isn't that fair? Like, can you imagine me with my Southern Tech t-shirt on and I'm out, I get into a big old argument with someone at the park and then it turns ugly and they recorded it. Like, wouldn't that kind of be a poor reflection? We all have to say, like, I don't think there's a person that we all have gotten into arguments before. You talk to yourself when you're in an argument. You're telling yourself, don't do it, don't go there, back down, walk away. You're talking to yourself. We all do that, right? You have to say to yourself, okay, what should I do in this situation? Especially, I work for this company, I'm online, I'm out and about, you always have to think in terms of your profession when you become a professional. I don't think any of us would want our kids' doctor or pediatrician on plastered all over the news with something negative, would we? They may be a great pediatrician, but I don't want to see them getting into a fight with an old lady over a parking space in public. Do you? Like, that's just not a good look. So you have to think, okay, I'm a professional now, and so I need to, have a professional presence. I'm sorry, yes, you do. When you become a professional, that's one of the hard knocks of becoming a professional. You now have to consider your image. Your image even starts with your email. There's nothing wrong with even now having signature blocks. A lot of professionals have signature blocks in their email, even their personal email accounts. I know it may seem a little pretentious, but go ahead. You're professional. Go ahead and start putting those professional emails at the bottom of your account. It starts to get people, seeing you in that light, right? Especially, people that we know, right? Go ahead and start putting those professional emails in your account, even if you just put your name and, you don't have to put all this information that you see here. You can just put what you do or how you want people to contact you. A really cool thing to do is if you have a social media platform, which we'll talk about, put your social media platform down in your Gmail accounts, especially if it's a platform that you want to send people to. Let's say that you're in the veterinary field and you really want to talk about animals in this particular region. So my veterinary people, you could tell me a thumbs up. I'm not sure if this is something you're learning in class, but you should maybe know this, I don't know, but different animals and different species and different ecosystems, right? So obviously down here in the Southeast region, we have different animals, different bugs, different, mammals, right? In the ocean, right? Yes, VA people. And maybe you want to specialize on that. So maybe you want to specialize on different marine biology species in Southeast Florida, and that is your thing, right? And so you create a Instagram account and you talk about all things that, and you put it in all your signature blocks. Like, think of how that's free promotion for you. People love to see that, especially if it's a potential job or to potential business opportunity. People love to see you. That's free promotion, guys, right? So start thinking like a business person. Networking. So let's get back to traveling to our destination. And we have our roadmap that we're building, but you need certain tools to also make you be successful. And one of them is going to be networking. We already know that we need an elevator pitch, but where do we do this elevator pitch? Well, you're using it when you're networking. Networking is simply talking with people and establishing relationships that could lead, right? Not always, but that could lead to career growth or potential job opportunities. What is the point of us doing all of this if that's not what we're trying to do? If you're not trying to build your career and build your wealth, like, what are you doing, right? So LinkedIn, which is one thing that we'll focus on in this class, is one and thank goodness it's still one of the number one professional social networking sites to date. Thank goodness it has not gone down the rabbit hole of being too non-professional. It's very structured. People go on there to network, people go on there to learn, people go on there to talk about their business. It's the only site that I know of to date that you can literally connect to presidents, vice presidents, famous people, as long as you're talking about business, there is not a social platform. It's a career social platform. And so people don't go on there for the most part. Even sometimes when I see people try to put personal stuff on there, there others will check them quickly, because they want to maintain the integrity of LinkedIn. So far, LinkedIn has been doing a good job at maintaining that professional environment. But people go on and they DM you to network all the time, sometimes too much. But it's a great networking site. But there are some others that you can do. Now, I am not a fan. I'm going to go ahead and put that out here right now. I'm not a fan of X. And maybe it's because I was spoiled with Twitter. Anybody remember when Twitter first came out? Twitter was like, if you didn't catch the news, you can always go to Twitter. Twitter was like a news feed. Does anybody remember that? It was like, it was perfect. You could go and see unless with your algorithm, I don't know what you're into, but for the most part, if you're in a professional side and you wanted to see what was happening in sports and entertainment and in politics and career, you could go to Twitter and you can get that professional you know, knowledge, information. X, I don't know. Does anybody feel like X kind of it's become more of a social platform to me than an information platform. Like wouldn't trust anything on X nowadays because the algorithm is so off. I'm so disappointed. And maybe just because I was spoiled with Twitter. I remember years and years ago when Twitter came out. I'm talking how long has Twitter been out? A long time, right? 15 years at least, I'm thinking. It was so different, so I'm not going to encourage you to use X, but X is a platform you can use. I would just say be very mindful of your algorithms, guys. Be mindful of what you post on there. You want to be selfish. You want to maintain the integrity of who you are and your career and what it is you're trying to do. If you're going to go on there for business, like don't have different things feeding into your account that if a potential, what a lot of corporations do for whatever reason now, well, I know why they do it. When you apply to a job, the first thing they'll do is try to connect with you on your social platforms. One of the reasons they're doing it is because they're trying to promote themselves. Like even if they don't hire you right away, they'll want to connect with you to stay connected. So let's say you want to go work at this company. You didn't get chosen for that company. Maybe you got chosen for another company, but that company wants to connect with you and they want you to stay connected, which of course makes sense, right? Because you never know. A no today is a yes tomorrow, but they're connected with you. That means they're going to see what's being posted on your site. Not to say that they're going to stalk your site or whatever, but do you really want that image? Right. So again, this is about you. Be selfish. This is not about telling you, you can't be on social platforms. I'm just saying, think of yourself like a business and how do you promote yourself in a way that will attract business? Does that make sense? Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a separate personal account that you have fun with. Maybe you're into sports, maybe you're into gaming or whatever you're doing. Or maybe you're into that political scene and you just like commenting on it. Just try to do it on a separate thing. I'm not saying go incognito or whatever, but just try to keep it separate from your business. And if you're going to use something like X, which in my opinion has gotten a little bit away from what it used to be, just use it responsibly, right? So just protect your image. The same thing with Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, I would strongly encouraging you to set up a new Instagram account. You can have more than one and make that your professional Instagram account. If you are into all things, how technology is affecting the your industry, whether it's the electrical industry or the welding industry or whatever, because technology is everywhere, right? Maybe you want to have that as part of your platform, or maybe you want to have innovation as part of your platform, whatever it is you're into, because hopefully you're not just into your field. Your field is big. All of you guys' field is big, and you're going to have to narrow down what you're into. Even if you don't know what it is today, you know, that's why you have to do so much research on your industry. You need to be connecting to things in your industry, getting newsletters. You know, you can have you know, emails sent to you every time something new comes out in your industry. There's so much you can do. I encourage each of you to do some Google searches on your industry, see what's going on. You want to be in the know. Being in the know and being knowledgeable about what's going on in your industry is a key to networking. It looks good when you're in an interview and people are talking shop, as they say, and you know what they're talking about. It makes you look professional. It makes you look serious, right? So, you know, think of it that way, right? So you want to, why this is here? Feel like, am I? Like this is, hold on. Is that right? Yeah. Wow. Did I do that right? No, 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 no. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I messed up. Don't go anywhere, guys. We have to do a demonstration. Don't think we're done. I know you're like, oh, we're done. So we want you to be positive. I don't want you to think negatively about being online, but I do want you to think about, you know, focusing in on how I can promote myself. Does that make sense? So today you're going to do an exercise, and it's going to be centered around finding out or looking at your online presence, right? So in the assignment that you have today, I want you to conduct an online search about yourself to see if anything pops up. Now, I know some of you are like, ooh, Miss Taylor, I don't know if I want to do that. But let me tell you, and the goal is not necessarily to find yourself. Now, if you do find yourself, that's great. But the goal is just to see if there's anything out there about you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little demonstration with you to show you what I want, right? Let me just pull up, and I'm just going to use, well, I'll just use Microsoft Office. Now I'm search the web. So I'm going to share my screen. So I just want you to go to any online platform. Here I'm just on Microsoft, right? And I'm just going to put in 2 things about myself. I'm going to put in Cynthia Taylor, and I'm going to put in Florida. I'm going to say, and Florida. Now, when you're doing any type of internet search, this here, this and signed, just lets the platform know, in this instance, Microsoft, that I'm looking for anything that says Cynthia Taylor in Florida. I want to see if anything pulls up about me. Now, probably it will because I'm on my site. I'm already logged in. So I want to see if I can find anything about myself. Why am I doing this? You may have an online presence, whether you know it or not, right? And sometimes if there's things out there about you that maybe you weren't aware of, you need to be aware of, because there are some companies, like I said, guys, that will say, let me Google this person to see what comes up, because I'm going to have them out with my clients and I don't want something negative coming up about these people, right? Now, so you just want to know, let me see if there's anything about myself. So in this practice, what you're going to do, you're going to type in, I want you to do it 3 times. And I want you to say 2 things about yourself. Here, I just put Cynthia Taylor in Florida. And so once you're done with the search, you're going to write about what you found. So take notes on the search that you're doing. So you're going to say, my first search, I put in my first and last name and the state I'm from. What did you find? So you're going to scroll down and you're going to see, okay, I see something that says white pages. I see some images of Cynthia Taylor. That ain't me. Let me just scroll through these images to see if I see myself. Nope. Nope. Uh-oh, I must not be doing a good job, guys, at promoting myself. So I keep going down. I see something here that talks about Cynthia Taylor in Florida and Spokane. I don't know what that is. Cynthia Ann Taylor's. So you could say I scrolled down a little bit and I saw a bunch of different sites that I could search for myself, but nothing came up with myself outside of some public records. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm just telling exactly what I see. Y'all understand what I'm doing? I see the yellow book came up and you're writing about this. Give me a thumbs up if what I'm saying makes sense. Okay, so you're going to go back after you did that. You're going to say, okay, so I changed Florida to UCF because I graduated from UCF and I entered. And this time, and this is what I'm writing about, what I'm talking is what I'm going to write about. This time, what came up was more photos, nothing about me. There was a profile for me, and if it's you, you'll know if it's you. And that was mine on Facebook. And then I actually found myself, this is who I am right here. I actually found my account, my LinkedIn account for myself. Of course, I can't log in. Okay. Y'all see what I'm doing? And this is what you write about. Then you can go back one more time and you can put in one other thing about yourself. Maybe you want to put in the school you graduated from. And you just want to see if there's anything out there about you. 250 words is like a paragraph and a half. So if you just write about what you did see, you do it 3 times, it should 250 words in no time. Do we understand? Does anybody have any questions with that? Sounds good? All right, all right, all right. I know when to leave it alone. All right, so y'all got that. Let me go ahead back and give you your question. I know some of you got your interviews. Who's had their interview yesterday? Just curious. Anybody had the interview yesterday? Okay. How did it go? Did it go good? Yeah? Good. Caitlin, how did it go? You want to tell us?
I actually had a question.
Hold on, you sound really low. Hold on. I'm sure it's my phone. What happened?
I had a question about it.
Oh, go ahead.
I had texted you, so I know this is an individual question, but I was wondering if we can't make it today, is there a way we can reschedule it?
Yeah, just do that with your campus. So
Okay.
I'm fine with it as long as you get it done before Tuesday of next week.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, here's your participation question for today. I want you to name, it doesn't have to be each 3 places and 3 people, but I just wanted people or place combination thereof that you may use to grow your network. So what do I mean by that? All right, Miss Taylor's saying that I got to start promoting myself. Like, who can I start networking with? I'll give you a hint. It could be to the person left or right of you, or in your classroom, right? Where else could you start to network, right? Start to build your professional network. And which are you using now? So it could be I'm online on LinkedIn. I can network at my church. I can network with my brother or sister. I can network with, the people in my class. Like, name 3 people or places that you may use to grow your network. That's your participation question for today. And your assignment is to do that online search about yourself. All right, my friends. Good luck to you. Please remember to get that interview sheet from your career services once you leave your interview. All right, y'all. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day.
Bye.
Oh, scared me. Turn my sound up too much. Bye-bye.